For decades, scientists treated the moon like a solved equation, a cold relic frozen in its past. It was the control group of the cosmos. No atmosphere, no liquid water, no magnetic field, no change. Every mission, from Luna to Apollo, seemed to confirm it, a graveyard of rock and dust. Yet, like most things we claim to understand, the truth was hiding in plain sight. Dozens of missions, American, Soviet, Japanese, Indian, have gone back. Some orbited, some landed, some even crashed on purpose just to see what would fly up. It's the most studied world in the sky, and still we can't explain some of the simplest things about it. How it stores heat, how it handles electricity, why its soil clings like static to everything it touches. The deeper we look, the more the moon refuses to behave. Scene 2. A whisper in the dust. It began with a signal, faint, almost a mistake. In 1976, the Soviet Union's final robotic mission, Luna 24, drilled 2 meters into the lunar surface and pulled out a thin column of soil. The sample weighed about as much as a baseball, nothing impressive. But inside that dust, something was hiding. Water. Tiny traces of H2O, around 0.1%. And the deeper they looked, the more they found. It should have been revolutionary. Instead, it was dismissed. Scientists said it must have been contamination, water from the lander or from Earth itself, because everyone knew the moon was dry. That was the rule. The data was quietly archived, the discovery buried under decades of assumptions. But the moon wasn't done speaking. Scene 3. The cold traps. Far from the bright, familiar face of the moon, there are places where light has never touched. They're called permanently shadowed regions, craters so deep and so perfectly aligned with the lunar poles that sunlight has missed them for billions of years. Down there, the temperature plunges to -240 degrees Celsius, colder than Pluto, colder than the edge of the solar system. And in that eternal darkness, something impossible could survive. If any water-bearing asteroid or comet ever struck the moon, the fragments could have drifted into these shadows, frozen solid, and stayed that way forever. For the first time, scientists began to suspect the moon might not be as barren as we thought. These weren't just craters, they were time capsules, traps for ancient ice, perhaps older than life on Earth. And if that was true, then the moon wasn't just dead rock. It was a resource, a place to build, to fuel, to stay. Scene 4. The Eyes in Orbit. Cinematic shift. 1990s era footage, Clementine and Lunar Prospector orbiters fade into frame. The 1990s brought a new generation of orbiters, each one a metal eye scanning the surface for answers. First came Clementine, a small spacecraft that wasn't even supposed to look for water. But it mapped deep craters near the South Pole and found that some never saw sunlight at all. It gave weight to the cold trap theory, but lacked the instruments to prove what was frozen inside. Then, in 1998, NASA launched Lunar Prospector. This time, the goal was clear: find hydrogen, a fingerprint of water. And it did. High concentrations clustered near both poles. The data hinted at something staggering: up to 300 million metric tons of ice scattered across the lunar poles. Enough to fuel rockets, enough to sustain life. But again, there was a catch. Hydrogen alone isn't proof of water. It could be hydroxyl or locked in minerals, and the instruments couldn't tell the difference. Orbiters could only see from above, never touch, never taste, never drill. The moon had given us a direction, but not the truth. Scene 5. The Hard Way. So, scientists tried a new approach. If you can't reach what's hidden, maybe you can blast it out. In 1999, Lunar Prospector was deliberately crashed into a crater near the South Pole, hoping to kick up a plume of dust rich in ice. Nothing. A decade later, Japan's Kaguya orbiter tried the same thing. Same silence. But then came LC-CROSS, NASA's Lunar Crater Observation and Sensing Satellite. In 2009, it didn't go alone. Its rocket stage hit first, a controlled impact into a dark crater named Cabeus. Minutes later, LC-Cross flew through the plume and analyzed what it saw. This time, it worked. Real, measurable water vapor, alongside carbon monoxide, methane, ammonia, hydrogen. The moon was no longer dry. For the first time in history, we had proof. And that proof changed everything. Scene 6. The questions return. Music shifts from triumph to doubt. But proof brings new questions. How much water is really there? Is it scattered dust or buried lakes of ice? Can we use it, or is it just a mirage in the data? LC-Cross was gone, destroyed by its own impact. It couldn't dig deeper or look again. And that's when something strange happened. Because while everyone expected to find ice only in the shadows, new data suggested something weirder: water signals across the sunlit surface of the moon. Places where ice shouldn't survive at all. The moon wasn't just whispering anymore, it was contradicting us. What we thought was simple wasn't. What we thought was lifeless was stirring with energy, motion, and mystery. And the closer we looked, the less sense it all made. If you stare at the moon long enough, you begin to feel like it's watching you back. Its craters seem still. Its silence seems eternal. But beneath that ghostly stillness, something stirs. Scene 1. The breath of the moon. For decades, we believed the moon was utterly lifeless, a frozen relic of creation. A place where nothing moves, nothing breathes. But that illusion has begun to crumble. In 2009, NASA's LC-Cross mission intentionally slammed a spacecraft into a crater near the moon's south pole. The explosion released a plume of debris, and inside that debris, scientists detected water molecules. Not traces, not speculation, actual, measurable water ice, hiding in the shadows. And then, the mystery deepened. Scene 2. Water where it shouldn't exist. You see, the moon's poles are cold, unimaginably cold. Temperatures drop so low that even sunlight cannot free trapped molecules. That's where ice should exist. But in 2020, something changed our understanding entirely. NASA's SOFIA Observatory, a flying telescope mounted on a Boeing 747, detected water on the sunlit surface of the moon. That shouldn't be possible. Sunlight should destroy it instantly. And yet, there it was, glimmering, fleeting, defiant. Scientists now believe that these water molecules are trapped inside tiny glass beads, created by ancient meteor impacts. These beads protect the water from the brutal radiation of space, a cosmic time capsule preserving one of the most essential ingredients for life. Scene 3. A living, changing world. The moon, we now know, is not static. It's a living archive of energy, shifting, cracking, breathing in its own silent rhythm. Even without air, the lunar surface releases bursts of gas, detected by instruments left behind by Apollo astronauts. Helium, argon, sometimes even radon, seeping up from beneath. It's almost as if the moon exhales. Scientists call these events lunar outgassing. To us, they are whispers from its ancient interior. Hence that beneath the dust, the moon may still be geologically alive. Scene 4. The pulse beneath the dust. And then there are the moonquakes. When the Apollo astronauts left seismometers on the moon, they expected silence. Instead, they recorded something astonishing: tremors. Some shallow, caused by meteoroid strikes or the sun's heat expanding the lunar crust. But others came from deeper below, long, rumbling quakes that lasted for hours. Imagine that, the ground beneath your feet shaking on a world without life, wind, or water currents. A pulse from the past, echoing through stone. It told scientists one thing: The moon is not dead. Something inside it still moves. Scene 5. The strange glow. And then there's a mystery that's haunted astronomers for centuries. The so-called lunar transient phenomenon. From the days of Galileo to modern telescopes, observers have reported strange flashes, mists, and glowing patches of light appearing across the moon's surface. For years, these were dismissed as optical illusions or wishful thinking. But with modern imaging and monitoring, some of those flashes have been confirmed. Small, localized bursts of brightness, lasting seconds or minutes. Are they meteors, electrical discharges, or something deeper? Chemical reactions triggered by escaping gas from beneath the crust? No one knows. But one thing is clear, the moon is far more dynamic than we ever imagined. The more we look, the less dead it seems. The moon, our quiet companion, is changing, whispering, breathing. Not a barren sphere of dust, but a frozen organism of rock and time. And if the moon is alive in its own way, what else in our solar system might be hiding its quiet heartbeat?
For all its beauty, for all its stillness, the moon hides things from us. It's the most studied object in the night sky, and yet it remains one of the least understood. Scene 1. The core of mystery. Deep inside the moon lies a puzzle that refuses to be solved. When the Apollo seismometers recorded those moonquakes, they also hinted at something unexpected. The moon's interior might not be as cold or solid as we thought. Modern measurements from missions like Grail and Lunar Prospector revealed a molten metallic heart, small but real, about 300 miles across. It shouldn't be there. After billions of years, a small body like the moon should have cooled completely. But somehow, something is keeping part of it alive. Is it the residual heat of its violent birth, or the slow tug-of-war between Earth's gravity and the moon's orbit, stretching and squeezing its interior, keeping it warm? Whatever the cause, it means this: the moon still beats with a faint pulse of energy. Scene 2. The magnetic ghost. If you hold a compass on the moon, it won't point anywhere. There's no global magnetic field like Earth's. But here's the strange part. The moon's rocks remember one. Apollo samples brought back magnetic traces, frozen into their mineral structure. That means, long ago, the moon once had a strong magnetic field, perhaps even stronger than Earth's. Then it vanished. Like a candle suddenly blown out, the field collapsed, and no one knows why. Some scientists believe colossal impacts disrupted its molten core. Others suggest the moon's internal dynamo simply ran out of fuel. But what remains is a haunting record, a magnetic ghost etched into stone, whispering of a lost world that once had its own protection, its own invisible shield. Scene 3. The hidden tunnels. Now imagine descending beneath the lunar crust, into tunnels so vast they could swallow cities whole. They're called lava tubes, enormous caverns formed billions of years ago when rivers of molten rock flowed beneath the surface. When the lava drained away, it left hollow passages behind, some stretching for tens of kilometers. Radar mapping from Japan's Kaguya spacecraft confirmed them, and NASA's Grail mission found gravitational signatures suggesting entire networks of these caverns. Protected from radiation, micrometeorites, and extreme temperature swings, these underground cathedrals might one day become humanity's lunar homes. But there's another thought, a more unsettling one. If something ancient once moved beneath the moon's surface, these tunnels might have preserved its traces. Fossilized evidence hidden in the cold dark beyond our reach. For now. Scene 4. The strange dark side. We call it the dark side, though it isn't truly dark. It's the far side, forever turned away from us, unseen by human eyes until 1959. When the Soviet probe Luna 3 sent back the first images, what it revealed shocked scientists. The near side, the face we see every night, is covered in smooth, dark plains called maria. But the far side is rough, jagged, scarred with craters. Two worlds in one body. Why? It's as if the moon itself was split during its creation, a cosmic yin and yang. Some theories suggest that long ago, Earth had not one moon, but two. When they collided, the smaller merged with the larger, creating the thick, mountainous crust we now see on the far side. If true, our moon carries within it the memory of an ancient sibling, a silent witness to the violence that shaped both worlds. Scene 5. The data that doesn't add up. For all our missions, for all the landers and orbiters, there are signals, patterns, and readings that continue to defy easy explanation. Unexplained thermal anomalies, crater floors that stay warm long after sunset, localized magnetic patches that behave like buried machines, not natural formations. Some scientists say these can all be explained by geology. Others quietly admit, we don't really know. And then there's the question of the moon's orbit itself. It's perfectly circular, too perfect. Its size, its distance, its position all create the exact conditions for solar eclipses, where the moon fits precisely over the sun's disk. No other known moon in our solar system does this. Coincidence? Maybe, but it's one of the most beautiful coincidences in the universe. The moon has secrets it refuses to share. From its magnetic scars to its hollow tunnels, its pulse of heat to its shimmering lakes of ice, it is a paradox made of stone. And as we keep searching, as we send new eyes and instruments to its surface, one thing becomes clear. The more we uncover, the stranger our moon becomes.
For centuries, we've looked up at the moon and seen a reflection of ourselves, our fears, our hopes, our loneliness. But now, for the first time in history, we are going back, not just to look, but to stay. Scene 1. The Return. It's been over half a century since humans last stood on the lunar surface. 50 years since footprints marked the gray dust. Since the last words of Apollo echoed through static and silence. Now, the Artemis generation prepares to return. A fleet of robotic scouts is already at work, mapping craters, probing ice deposits, measuring radiation. Soon, humans will follow. Engineers, scientists, dreamers, the new pioneers. They won't just visit, they'll build. Habitats buried beneath regolith, solar fields stretched across crater rims, machines breathing oxygen from lunar dust and fuel from sunlight. The moon will no longer be a symbol of distance, but a bridge, a way station between Earth and the rest of the cosmos. Scene 2. The ice beneath the shadow. In the eternal darkness of the moon's south pole lies something extraordinary. Hidden in craters that have not seen sunlight for billions of years, frozen water. It's ancient, older than humanity itself. Some of it may even predate Earth's oceans. This ice is more than just survival, it's potential. Water can be turned into air, into fuel, into life. And where there is water, there may be a deeper story. Perhaps comets once delivered it here, carrying the building blocks of biology. Perhaps it drifted from Earth in the chaos of our shared creation. Whatever its origin, that frozen shadow is a time capsule, a memory of the early solar system perfectly preserved. Scene 3. The moon's whisper. Every time a rover's wheel crushes lunar dust, tiny particles dance silently in the weak gravity, each grain older than any mountain on Earth. Some of these grains carry traces of our planet, atoms of oxygen and hydrogen blasted away by solar wind, embedded in lunar soil. In a way, Earth and Moon have always exchanged pieces of themselves. Even now,
As we prepare to return, the moon already holds our fingerprints, from old landers, flags, and forgotten experiments, frozen in time. It's as if the moon has been waiting, watching, recording, not as a dead world, but as a witness. Scene 4. The meaning of the silence. When astronauts of Artemis set foot there again, they will not just walk on dust, they will walk on history. Every step will echo across billions of years. Every footprint will remind us how far we've come and how small we still are. For in that silence, we are confronted with something deeply human. We crave exploration, not only to understand the universe, but to understand ourselves. The moon teaches us humility. It reminds us that even in its silence, it holds the echoes of life, death, creation, and time itself. Scene 5. What the moon tells us about ourselves. The moon is more than a celestial body. It is a mirror, a reminder of our fragility and our resilience. It shows us that beauty can be born from violence, that even the aftermath of cosmic chaos can create balance. It tells us that darkness and light coexist, that both are necessary. Every crater is a wound, every plain a scar. Yet together, they form something breathtaking. Maybe that's why we're drawn to it, because in the moon's brokenness, we see our own. Scene 6. The legacy. Long after the last human voice fades from the lunar plains, the moon will remain, faithful, silent, eternal. It will continue to circle us, its orbit widening slowly each year, a quiet farewell written in motion. One day, millions of years from now, the moon will drift too far to perfectly eclipse the sun. The total solar eclipse, that fleeting perfection, will cease to exist. And with it, one of nature's most profound alignments will be gone forever. So perhaps our time, this moment in cosmic history, is special. Perhaps it's a message written in light and shadow, reminding us to look up while we still can. We have always looked at the moon and wondered who we are. Now, as we prepare to walk its surface again, we realize the truth. The moon has never been silent. It's been waiting for us to listen. Because sometimes, the weirdest thing about the universe is not what we find out there, but what it reveals about us.